You are looking live right outside the big house, folks. I'm here with Sam Webb with the Michigan Insider. I'm Josh Newkirk. All right, Sam, let's just jump right in where everyone has been planning this game, circled it on the schedule now for years now. Texas is finally here. Michigan plays host to the Longhorns today. Let's get your initial thoughts. Obviously, the big matchup, Texas's offense and Quinn Ewers, led by Steve Sarkisian in his play calling against Michigan's defense in Wake Martindale.
Yeah, you start up front. Their offensive line is outstanding. One of the biggest offensive lines in the country against Michigan's defensive line. And, you look around the country and I hear the regard. I think Pro Football Focus has Ohio State's defensive line ranked higher or better than Michigan's. Ridiculous. Michigan has the best defensive line in the country, led by the best defensive tackle tandem in the country. And I think we're going to see that today. Those guys will control the middle. But I think the story of last week's game was the play of Josiah Stewart and Derek Morris. They were outstanding. That will be the name of the game. You think back to the national championship game. Think about why Michael Penix was so off in that contest. Because he got beat up so badly by that defensive line. That is a recipe for this game today. You want to disrupt that downfield attack, that high-octane attack. It is about Michigan's defensive line getting pressure in his face consistently and early in this contest. Michigan needs to set the tone in this game like they did, the Michigan defense. They need to set the tone in this game early like they did in the last two big games they played. Think about the Rose Bowl. Think about the national championship game. Early in those games, the defensive line set a major tone, bashing the quarterbacks. They got to do that in this game.
Another thing, you mentioned that Michigan getting pressure up front. Texas has a very experienced offensive line. Let's get to the back end of that Michigan defense. Obviously, you got led by Will Johnson, All-American, everyone's consensus top cornerback in the country. What are your expectations for this Michigan's secondary going against this, highly skilled Texas wide receiver corps?
Look, you got to limit explosives in this game. Keep them in front. I think that, this is going to be one of those contests where they're going to make some plays.
Yeah.
Go into it knowing that.
Yeah.
So I think about it like the Ohio State game. Marvin Harrison made some plays, all right?
You got to live with it.
You got to live with it. But see, what didn't happen? Did you see Marvin Harrison getting open all the way down the field for a touchdown? Now, he beat Will for a long play, but Will limited the damage.
Yeah.
He prevented it from being a touchdown. So that is the name of the game. Limit is explosives. Don't let them get big play touchdowns. They're going to make some plays, but limit the damage. That's the name of the game for this defense. And then after that, the offense is going to have to do its part.
Well, speaking of the offense, obviously last week they had their growing pains. Davis Warren, it's his first career start. And then they sprinkled in Orgy. Obviously, people want, already you're getting the armchair quarterbacks. More Orgy this week, we'll see. But the thing that really stood out was offensive line play. Another week of practice, another week for an opportunity for that unit to gel. What are your expectations there? Because you would think that Michigan needs a stronger running attack today to get the win.
Yeah, so I'll say one more thing about the defense that is real key, and it plays into the offense. They're going to have a plan for RPOs, all right? Because Texas is a heavy RPO team, and we saw a little bit of a vulnerability against Fresno State in that regard, where they got open over the middle of the field behind the linebackers in front of the safeties last week. What is Michigan going to do? Michigan can play the run with their defensive line. That would be a recipe to kind of free those linebackers up. Do they do that today? That's a big question in this game. Flip to the other side of the ball. How does Michigan handle a loaded box?
Yeah. Play action.
I don't know. I mean, it's a big question because they weren't very effective last week.
Yeah.
Now, you had a bunch of technique issues. Guys, you had tripping over a line, bunch of mistakes. They got to clean up the mistakes. The fortunate thing was there were a lot of correctable errors. The problem is there were a lot of them. Can you clean up that many errors in 1 week's time? I don't know. To me, the one of the remedies is to play Alex Orji some more. It's not. I don't think they go from doing what they did last week to splitting time. I do think you go from what you did last week to playing Alex Orji more than one snap at a time. I think he plays 2-3 snaps at a time because they were effective running the football with him in the game.
Maybe a series.
Yeah, what you can do with Davis Warren, though, what you can do with Davis, you can do a couple of things with Davis Warren. You can allow him to RPO against loaded boxes. That would be a recipe to kind of balancing the equation in the box, right? A la Stetson Bennett. Another thing you can do is allow Davis to take some more shots.
Yeah.
Make them respect you down the football field more. He took 2 shots in the game. The first one was he was late, and it was an underthrow.
I heard Al Borges.
Yeah.
He just took one step too many, right?
Yeah.
If he just takes it, throws it, that's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown.
So,
and the second one was on the receiver.
Yeah.
Davis throws a nice ball, and the receiver lets up on the throw. They got to force themselves to take some more shots in this game. I say 4 or 5 shots in this contest, and with your deep guys, with your speed guys. So Fred Moore down the field, or Marion Walker. I mean, if nothing else, a couple times down the field.
One of my keys, you have to get those receivers involved. They cannot be non-existent today. 1 or 2 big plays, mandatory to get this win. As far as you mentioned the passing attack, and we mentioned the running attack. What are your overall expectations from this offense? Can they get enough juice to get this? What's sort of your ballpark where they need offensively to get this?
Listen, they gotta be over 4 yards a carry, and in the 170, 180 yards range,
right,
running the football. Like they gotta run the football. There is no recipe for winning this game.
Not running the football. I agree.
Outrunning the football because it plays into the defense. If Michigan's defense is on the field 35 minutes in this game, they lose. They lose the time of possession battle in this game.
Well,
they lose.
They don't win the game.
Right. So that's why I'm coming back to the what I said before. They got to run the football to win this game. So there were plays left on the field, and this is not a defense. So let's come back. And when you talk about last week against Fresno State, and if they couldn't do it against Fresno State, well, how could they do it against Texas? 2 things. Self-inflicted wounds against Fresno State. It wasn't what Fresno State was doing to Michigan. It was what Michigan was doing to itself. The blow-ups against Fresno State were mistakes by Michigan. It was a lineman not pulling tight around the corner. It was a guy not targeting right, coming. These were all mistakes by Michigan, right? So you can get that right. And this is not a monster defense that they're facing today.
No.
Don't tell me that.
It's still a Big 12 defense, folks.
Don't tell me that Texas is much more physical because they beat Colorado State. They got to show me that against a much better team. So Michigan, this is a team that I think they can be effective running the football against if they clean up the mistakes from last week. And that is a big if.
So, all right, we're going to add to that. Obviously, the folks are itching. We already know.
Go to Limo. Go to limo.com.
We already know. I have an inkling of where you're going to go with this game. But I want to know, Michigan wins this game and why, Sam? And I want to score.
So Michigan wins this game if they take care of the football. They run the football for 170, let's give it 180 yards. And then this is what I said on ESPN and CBS. You got to get some explosives, and you got to limit explosives. They left at least 4 explosives on the field last week in the run game. You cannot do that. There were 2 times where Donovan Edwards was one-on-one with the safety. There's a couple of times where, or should have been one-on-one with the safety. A couple of times where Alex Orji should have been one-on-one with the safety. There was one time where Khalil Mullings, he misread a linebacker on a duo. And he would have been one-on-one with the safety. They cannot have those miscues. You get 2 of those explosives, and it's a different ball game. So limit explosives on the other side. Get a couple of explosives on your side. That's the recipe for Michigan winning this game 26-24.
I'm going to say you hit on a couple of my keys. Win the rushing attack, win the time of possession, and then win the turnover battle. Those are the three things Michigan has to check, all three of those boxes. And I think another key variable, Texas ain't used to this being this cold just yet. They just came from 90-degree heat. It's mid-50s in Ann Arbor. I'm telling you, it feels colder if you're not used to it. That's another thing to play. I think Michigan squeaks by 24-20. Hopefully it happens. For Sam Webb, I'm Josh Newkirk for the MichiganInsider.com.